Would you like to hear about creative connections and robots? Of course you would. Please stay tuned for Suzanne's Studio. Hello and welcome. I'm Suzanne Barnett, your host, and tonight we are presenting a fabulously interesting show, and it is about the Creative Connectors, a team of friends who compete in a Lego competition. And I'd like to introduce the team coaches. First we have Guillaume and Tifon and your sister and brother. There's so much to say. I don't know where to begin. Okay, Guillaume and Tifon Delapine.
Right.
Okay? Yep. Tell us about this wonderful team.
Well, it's a group of 6 boys and 2 coaches who've gotten together and they put together a robot, it's right here, and a project that they'll be performing in a few minutes actually on the show.
So tell us, Tifon, about what is this team about and how did you get involved?
So I just got involved this year and I decided that I wanted to help with the project part of this. And so we came up with an idea for the project and the boys have been practicing, and at the tournament last Sunday we won this beautiful trophy for the project.
Oh, congratulations. But who gets to keep the trophy?
Oh, it's the team's trophy. It goes in our lab.
Oh, it does. Okay. Well, how did this team begin? And you have to, give us just a description of really what's going on. Would you, Guillaume?
Sure. Well, a couple of years ago, my brother started getting really into Lego robotics. He's actually still a member of the team, and he decided he wanted to start having some fun with his friends. So we got a team together, and we added a boy this year. So we went from 5 to 6 members. But they've had a lot of fun together just programming and putting together 2 different research projects, 1 per year.
And what does the competition entail?
So there are 2 parts of it, like we've been talking about. First, the robotics part, and secondly, a project part of it. And so when the boys go to the tournaments, there are a couple sections that the judges look at: teamwork, the project, the robot design, and of course, the robot. So that's about it.
And who supports this? I mean, and how many other teams are there, Guillaume?
Well, there are thousands of teams across America and even in some other countries. Also, as far as support, US First is an organization that's come together to try and foster engineering thinking and interest in science, as well as gracious professionalism, which is a big word for sportsmanship, in support. As far as support for individual teams goes, there are sponsors for a lot of the teams. Our team actually isn't sponsored. The parents have been really great in generously coming forward and helping the team get prepared and supplied.
Are there different age groups?
There's Junior First Lego League, which is for the younger kids, maybe 6 to 9 years old. And then the First Lego League that these boys compete in is for 9 to 14-year-olds. And when they graduate from that, they'll go on to high school robotics, which is with VEX and actually not with Lego anymore.
Now, how old are these 6 boys who are so sophisticated and so darling and so talented?
They're all 10 years old and they're in 5th grade.
That is wonderful. Well, I think what we should do is see the boys. Is that what we're going to do?
That sounds good.
Sure, sounds great. They're anxious to show you their research project that they've been working on for the last few months.
Okay, so shall we bring them on?
Let's do it.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Hello, we are the Creative Connectors and I am Alexander. Today, all of us are going to share with you information from our research and visits. We believe to transform transportation, we must find a different way to fuel our cars. So come with me as we explore through the new modes of transportation. Q-Bomb, you're a typical gas car. How does your engine work?
Hey Alex, do you remember Mr. Zach?
Yeah.
He showed us his Mustang gas car. He said that the gas goes into the piston, the spark plug ignites the gas, and the burn fumes go out the exhaust pipe.
That sounds like a good system. Why are we transforming transportation?
I use 100% gas. That's bad for 2 reasons. Number 1, I make it so that the U.S. has to get gas from other countries. This is called oil dependence. Number 2, we get gas from carbon mines underground. This releases carbon dioxide into the air and contributes to global warming. We need a new way to fuel our cars to save the environment and lets us be oil independent.
You make a good point, Q-Bomb. Let's see something new. Ashish, what makes you different from a gas car?
Remember when we went to see the Chevy dealership and we saw ethanol cars? Ethanol comes from vegetables that we can blend with gasoline to make into fuel which burns in these cars.
What types of vegetables is ethanol made from?
Ethanol comes from corn, sugarcane, switchgrass, and other plants, including algae.
What is the problem with ethanol being food?
Well, if ethanol is the next solution, then there will be a food shortage, just like there's a gas shortage now. If we use food for fuel, there's less food to eat.
A food shortage? I can't stand that. Let's try something else. Connor, what is the big commotion about hybrids?
Well, hybrid cars use the electric motor to go slow or cruise, and gas motor when they need more power. As we learned at the Chevy and Ford dealership, electric motors use less gas, so therefore we save money and the environment. But sometimes, some companies put in an electric motor just for profit. It adds power to the gas, and these cars pollute more. Also, with the regular hybrids pollute because they still use gas when their battery is low. It's not a good solution.
Though better than gas cars, it still pollutes. We must find a solution that does not pollute. David, why should we use electric cars?
Electric cars use zero gas. You can charge them at home, and during the day, energy is taken from the car's braking and added to the car's battery, making it last longer. This is called regenerative braking.
That sounds good. Why aren't we using them today?
A few months ago, we visited Mr. Beta, who owns an electric car. He told us 3 things about the car. 1, the car's top speed is 65 miles per hour. 2, it's unsuitable for long distances since it runs out of battery fast. And 3, it still pollutes because it burns coal to make electricity.
Wow, only 65 miles per hour, and it's unsuitable for long distances. That isn't a very good solution. Let's move on. Quentin, you're a hydrogen bus. I've never heard about them. Can you tell me a little about yourself?
We visited the VTA and Mr. Smith showed us a hydrogen fuel cell module. We learned that hydrogen and oxygen go through a fuel cell, and the electrons in the hydrogen jump to the protons in the oxygen, creating electricity. After the hydrogen and oxygen go through the fuel cell, they do the opposite of electrolysis, which combines them into water.
So we went from gas cars to ethanol cars to hybrids, electric cars, hydrogen, and then hydrogen buses. We conclude that, wait a second, isn't hydrogen extremely explosive and bad for the environment?
It is explosive, but if it does explode, it explodes upward, whereas gas explodes outward. There are some special safety sensors on the bus that, if activated, will immediately shut it down. As to your second question, it's a zero-emission bus, although it does pollute a little when extracting hydrogen from air, and it wastes a lot of hydrogen in stop-and-go traffic.
Yahoo! We finally found our solution. Our solution is wait a second.
I wanted to tell you there's this other type of hydrogen bus called a hydrogen hybrid. It has an electric motor as well as regenerative braking, which makes it more efficient.
That sounds great. We believe that through our research, the best and quickest way to transform transportation is to find a different way to fuel our cars. We conclude that the most efficient engine is a hydrogen hybrid. We appreciate your time for listening to us. We also give thanks to the people who have helped us make this presentation possible. Thank you.
I am so excited to interview these boys, and I want to congratulate you. You have done such a stupendous job. For 10-year-olds, it's just wonderful. So now we're going to get to talk about the project, right? Mm-hmm. So first of all, what is your project about?
Well, our project is about finding a new solution for our cars because they pollute the environment. So we have to find a new solution to stop polluting the environment.
And what was your research on that? How about you, Alexander? Tell us about your research.
We've researched on the computer, and we visited many people, including someone who owns an electric car and a VTA bus factory, and that's been very fun.
Did you see the electric car?
Yes.
Have you ever been in an electric car?
No.
Did they take you?
No.
They didn't take you.
Actually, except for the time where I stuck my head into the engine, I think that was the only time we didn't actually get in the car.
Okay. Now, what is your notebook about?
Well, my notebook, it helps us with homework, and also we take notes in it, which help us review later on for the project. Like here I have about the electric car, some homework over here.
Now, how often do you meet for this project, for your group, the whole group?
We meet every Sunday, and towards the end of the Lego season, we've had open labs on some Saturdays. It worked as 2 people came for 3 hours, then the next 2 people would come in for the next 3 hours, and the last 2 people came in for the other 3 hours.
Connor, how did you go about building those cars and the bus and all that?
Well, first we figured out if we wanted to actually use props. And then when we were going to decide, let's see who's going to have which car. Once we decided that, we designed our cars and we come out cardboard and painted them and took them home to kind of finish them up. We put on straps to put on, and we basically just kind of made them from scratch.
All from scratch?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to ask you, I asked you before we went on the air, all 3 of you boys go to the same school?
Yeah.
And you get along well?
Yeah. We're best friends.
You're best friends. What happens if you have an argument?
Well, we have some silencers, like eyes and ears. And another one, which is 1, 2, 3.
Bam!
Who came up with that?
Coach Guillaume, of course.
Coach Guillaume. What is it like to work with Coach Guillaume?
He's a great leader, and he's really nice. He keeps us on track, and yeah, he's very nice and just gets us out of trouble.
Do you get into trouble, Alexander?
No.
I didn't think so. So tell more about the project, okay? Tell us, I know, here's a question. What has been your most favorite field trip? Connor, let's start with you.
I think my favorite field trip was the VTA because we saw the actual cell module and it was really cool to just check it out. It was pulled out of a broken bus because these are kind of unsustainable. It was really cool, and we also got to ride on the bus and notice the differences like there was no smell in the back of the bus from the exhaust. It was a lot quieter because it didn't have to like rev up and explode the gas like He-Bomb said. And it wasn't that, it was really fun.
Thank you. Alexander, what was your favorite field trip?
My favorite field trip, same as Connor's, the VTA. I really enjoyed looking at a hydrogen bus fuel cell model, and I really enjoyed actually riding in the bus. It's a lot different than a regular bus. It's very smooth, just as Connor says, very quiet, and the best part is there's no bad smells.
And it doesn't hurt the atmosphere, right? Asheen, what was your favorite?
Well, my favorite was the Chevy and Ford dealership because we got to see a lot of cool cars. But even then, we also got to see like smog indexes, which car pollutes the most, which is the best for the environment. We got to see if they're small, do they pollute more or less. We also got to look at ethanol cars there.
What is ethanol?
Ethanol comes from vegetables. So
yeah.
Those cars are they're like vegetables mixed with gasoline, which fuels the cars.
I have a final question, and that is, by the time the three of you are of driving age, what kind of car do you envision driving? Connor?
I envision driving probably whichever car is the best for the environment, because I learned a lot through this project, like how hydrogen cars, like hydrogen buses actually existed, hybrid cars, I thought they were cool, they're good for the environment. Then I learned the truth, and I was like, these aren't good.
And Alexander, what about you? What kind of car?
I envision myself driving in a Prius when I grow up. My mom and dad both drive one, and they get about 50 miles per gallon.
The Prius, yeah. So you're already experienced it. Ashish, what about you?
Well, like Connor, I also like cars that help the environment because we learned a lot through this presentation, and it was really fun.
I think our interview is over, and I want to thank Connor, Alexander, and Ashish. Did I pronounce that right? Finally, you boys are absolutely awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here we are with the next three boys, David, Quentin, and Q-Bomb. Did I pronounce that right? Mm-hmm. First of all, I want to congratulate the three of you like I did the other three. You all are just an awesome group. You really are. You should be very, very proud of yourselves. And I know that you've learned a lot. But now we're going to come to the big thing, which is the robot. So let's talk about the robot first. How did you begin? How did you decide that you wanted to have the robot as your what do you call it? You know, your project. How did you decide that, Quentin?
Well, we didn't exactly have a choice. It's part of the competition to have a robot. Yeah.
So how did the robot begin?
We would start with ideas, and then we pile on and vote on the better ones. And if something doesn't work, we try something else.
So could you explain it? Tell what the robot does, Quentin.
It does various missions. For example, it goes and collects loops, or like to get over a dynamometer.
What is that?
It's a machine that normally gets like a car stuck on it to measure its speed, but so it's a real challenge to get over it because it has these what would you call them? It has these things that the wheels roll on. So normally a robot would just get stuck.
I see. And how long did it take? David, How long did that take to
Well,
make?
it takes like a couple of weeks. Like we had to like figure out, oh, maybe we should put the robot this underneath. And we had to figure out how to get over the dynamometer, because that was like the biggest part. Because most of our points were right over the dynamometer. We had to get past that, so we ended up doing 4-wheel drive.
So that works. It's too bad that we can't. So you have to describe it to the audience, how it works. And does it work on its own, or do you have like a push button thing? How does it work?
Well, first we have like a laptop or computer, and then we put these drag these blocks from the side, and we enter the amount we want to do, and then we use an USB cable and program it to the robot, and then you can find the program by with these buttons, and then after you run the program, the robot just follows your commands.
Wow! And what do you have?
I have these attachments. This is for the truck. The truck, there's a lever here, and it's supposed to put the lever down. It goes on the robot right here.
So the motor will just turn it to smack it down.
Oh, I see.
And this is for the loops. It would get the loops through the hole. So you have 2 times the chance, since we have 2 of them. We'll go on this side.
And Q-Bomb, tell how you feel about doing this robot, making the robot. What was that like for you?
Well, for me, it was fun. It was fun to put in all the wires and, build it in the certain spot. Put in some pegs, which are these thingies.
Oh yeah, show what you have.
And this is an attachment that attaches on here. That would lift and grab a loop.
Oh, wow. So that's a very complicated robot. How long did the whole process take, from the beginning to the completion? How long, Quentin?
I'd say about 2 months, I think.
And did you have, how did you decide that you wanted to make that particular robot? I mean, did you have plans? Did you have to draw it? What happened?
We voted on which way our, for instance, a way our little NXT brain, which is this whole fat brick, and we voted which way it'll be, either horizontal, straight upright, or kind of slanted. And that's what we voted on, making a bit slanted.
And that's all made out of Legos. Now,
Yes.
How about you, David? Are you a big Lego person?
Oh, yeah.
Tell.
Well, I mean, I've started Lego ever since I was in kindergarten. I've got my first Lego sets still. I and my little sisters, they're playing with them right now. Now I've moved on to these advanced robots. They have motors and sensors here too. And you can program them and everything. It's much more advanced.
And Quentin, what about you? Are you the Lego king?
Yeah, I can't really remember when I first started. It was probably when I was 3 or so. I have shelves all over my room covered in Lego sets that I've built.
Now let me ask, I'm going to ask Q-Bomb, when you start a Lego project, not this, but I mean, say one of your projects at home, do you have directions on what to make or what? Tell me about that.
Usually I have directions, but sometimes I'll just build something random and just play around. And sometimes that's what I would do, or maybe I'll just make one specific thing.
Okay. Tell what are the best things about your robot? What are the best things?
The best thing about this robot is that it has a 4-wheel drive to get over the dynamometer. Also, it has these sensors to tell when to stop and when to turn, and yes.
Quentin, what are the worst things about that darling robot?
Ironically, though, the worst thing is the four-wheel drive because it makes it really hard for the robot to turn accurately.
Oh, so could you improve on that for the next time?
Yeah, the best way to fix that is to slow down the turn so that it'll turn slower.
David, do you ever do programming at school?
Yeah, in fact, last year during the last week of school, we did a little programming in science class.
You did. And what was that about, the programming?
Well, we could like make some things like our teacher, Mr. Gouret, he has some like NXT solar panels, and then we would use the sun and power them. And then we could make like any robots we wanted, like some could like go really fast or some could like turn things. And you just make whatever.
You know what, boys? We are out of time. Did you have a good time, Q-Bomb?
Yes.
Did you really? And Quentin, what about you?
I definitely. This was
You're
really
TV
fun.
stars. And David, what about you?
Well, it's like first time I'm on TV, so.
But you're so comfortable and you all are so intelligent, and I know that your parents must be so proud of you, and I'm certainly proud of you, and I want to thank you all so much. I really do. And I want to thank our crew. We have a fabulous crew, as you see. You've really seen how television works. And of course, I want to thank our audience for watching, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye-bye.